Yeah, what's going on, people? About 2-3 months ago, I made a video basically giving an overview and a little post unboxing video of my HS80M studio monitors. Unfortunately, it's been flagged by YouTube as having copyright violations because I used a track by Blue 6 to demonstrate what the speakers could do. I didn't put it in the description, I don't think, or in the title at all. But yeah, it's been flagged by Blue 6 or as being copyrighted. So I'm just doing another video today just to give you another quick tour and sound example of the HS80Ms, but using one of my own beats this time. So YouTube, you can't say anything. So basically, just give you a quick view of the HS80Ms now. Around the front of the HS80Ms, you got the tweeter here at the top. I think that's a 1-inch tweeter. Looks about an inch, could be 2. My maths isn't too great, but it's definitely an 8-inch cone or driver or woofer, whatever you want to call it. At the front of the cabinet, you've got a little light down here that with the Yamaha logo that indicates that the monitors are on. I'll show you what it looks like. Actually, I won't because my setup's on, so I might pop the speakers. Don't want to do that. So round the back of the monitors, you've got the heatsink grill because the speakers do give off a little bit of heat. They don't get hot, they just get warm, which is fine. You've got quite a wide bass port there because the speakers, as you can see, handle bass very well, which I'm sure is one of the main questions a lot of you will want to know. At the back, you got your gain adjustment. You got -10 dB all the way around to the right. I don't know if you can see it. -4 and -10, even though it doesn't say -10, it obviously is. You've got 2 types of input for these monitors. You've got XLR inputs, and you've got XLR is what I'm using, and you've got the 1/4-inch jack. So which is really good. You can choose between both. You've got your mid, room control, high trim and low cut switches, so you can basically control or compensate for the the lack of soundproofing in your room, basically. So you can adjust things like the mid sound, like your snares and stuff will be on your mid. Room control will obviously take into account things like sounds bouncing off various walls that aren't treated and so on and so forth. High trim is obviously your hats and more high-end stuff, and low cut's obviously your bass, sub low and so forth. You can actually choose between flat, 80 hertz and 100 hertz, which will increase the amount of bass that the speakers output. I've currently got mine on flat, so I can actually create bass as opposed to the speakers creating bass. We'll go into that in a second. You've got a power switch and your kettle lead, and that's it for around the back of the monitors. They're quite tall, quite big monitors, about the size of, say, a MIDI tower PC. Yeah, I'd say about the size of a PC tower. Like I was saying about adjusting the low frequency switch at the back, I recommend leaving it on flat. That way, as a producer, you can concentrate on making the bass as opposed to the speakers making the bass for you. Because what will happen, and the reason a lot of producers use these particular monitors are because they offer pretty much the best flat sound out of a lot of monitors within their price range and above, and obviously below, of course. And what the flat sound allows to happen is when you make music and you bounce it or burn it or export it as an MP3 or whatever, when people play it in their cars, in their headphones, on the radio, they will hear exactly what you have made, and these speakers will allow you to hear exactly what's being created. With a lot of other monitors, there's colouring, like the KRKs. A lot of people say that, yeah, they give really good bass frequencies, it sounds good in the studio. However, when you bounce it and people listen to it in their cars or on the radio, the bass that you heard isn't there. Can be a problem because the speakers are giving out more bass than actually the music actually has to offer, because the speakers are adjusted in a way that makes them sound better, or makes the music sound better. That's why a lot of like bass headphones and stuff make music sound good. And that's what the Beats headphones by Dr. Dre are supposed to do. I'm not a big fan of them, but a lot of people don't understand that when they say made so you can hear the way the artist intended you to hear the music, they mean they give you a really flat sound and frequency response, so that whatever the artist actually made, you can hear. So if the artist made a tune where the bass is really crappy, you're going to hear really crap bass. Whereas you buy a pair of headphones that's made for bass frequencies, they will give that track really good bass. So what you're doing with these monitors, for those of you who don't know, sorry for those of you who do, I just felt like talking about this, just felt relevant. These will give you a really good flat response, and if you can make these speakers or these monitors pump bass lines, then you can be guaranteed that when it plays on the radio, in someone's car, on someone's Beats headphones, that they're going to get that same bass that you felt in the studio when you were making your beats. You don't need a subwoofer with these speakers. Obviously it's optional. The 10-inch subwoofer for these costs at least 500 quid, I think. And these are about I can't even remember how much these are worth each, at least 300 quid each. So you can imagine that, so you can see how much the bass, you can see the expense you're going to have to get a subwoofer if you're going to buy studio monitors. A lot of good studio monitors range from about 250, 300, 400, 450, 500 pounds. So you better get ones that are going to do you justice. The 8-inch cone, definitely a must for people who want to make things like drum and bass, grime, dubstep, because you're going to want sub-low bass frequencies without spending too much money getting an additional sub. So without further talking from me, I'm just going to play a bit of a beat that I've made recently and I'm still working on, so you can hear it. It's got synths, it's got hi-hats, it's got snares, kick drums, it's got sub basses, so it's kind of got everything that I think you'd want to hear from a speaker, apart from vocals, unfortunately not yet, but what can you do? Alright, the volume's going to be quite loud, so you might want to turn your speakers down initially and then crank them up a bit so you can get the full effect, and I hope that you'll be able to feel or hear the bass that these speakers can reproduce if you produce your music properly. Alright, here goes. Guys, so I hope you get the general idea. The speakers, the monitors, keep saying speakers. Yeah, I mean, you can see what the speakers are capable of doing. The bass response is really good on them, so you don't need to worry about, you know, not being able to use sub basses or not being able to hear them, or them cutting off with these monitors. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Unfortunately this beat isn't for sale at soulnectar.co.uk, but there are a lot of beats for, well, not currently for sale. There's only about 3 for sale at the moment, but there will be more and more beats. So check out the website soulnectar.co.uk. there's a link in the description, and I'll leave you out with a beat.